guides leaders in aligning their personal brands with corporate identities and addresses challenges like imposter syndrome. Deeply connected to her Maori heritage, she incorporates Te Ao Maori principles into her teachings. As the vice president of the Professional Speakers Association of New Zealand, Monique is dedicated to advancing public speaking and helping others build authentic personal brands that reflect their values. And I'm going to share something that I've learned about her just today. This is her first global convention, and her first time speaking at our global convention, of course, and she's only been a member for 18 months.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Harmony, I love you. First of all, let's say thanks to Harmony. She's been doing a great job here. Kia ora. Kia ora. So I want to ask you all, first of all, how are you all feeling? Are you feeling good? Yeah. That was quite average, really, because I know a lot of you are exciters like I am. So how are you feeling? Yeah. Look, we all travelled a long way. I know we can do better than that. How are we feeling? Awesome. Now, before I actually start my presentation, I thought I'd bring a little bit of my Māori culture into the room. Now, when we go to say hello to each other in Te Reo Māori, which is the Māori language, we all say kia ora. Can you all say that for me? 1, 2, 3. Kia ora. Now, it's a very versatile word because it's our way of saying hello. Nice to see you. It's also our way of acknowledging somebody when they've done something cool. We also go, oh, kia ora. Can you do that for me? 1, 2, 3. Oh, kia ora. So if somebody comes in late, what do we say? Oh, kia ora. Oh, kia ora. Now, if you see me around conference over the next day and a half, especially if you're coming to drinks tonight, I want you to walk up to me and go, kia ora. And I will absolutely love you, throw my arms around you, and let's have a one-to-one. That's all I'm going to say. Now, when we start speaking in New Zealand, especially if we are Māori, we start with something that's really important that I wanted to introduce you to. It's called whakapapa. So let me give you, I know, right? But I'm going to explain. Let me explain. I'll recite it for you. Ko toku maru te maunga. Ko wairo te awa. Ko tainui te waka. Ko Ngāti Rārua te iwi. Ko te arawa ere te hapu. Ko wairo te marae. Ko Morris Roa ko Helena oku mātua. Ko Monique Bradley tōku ingoa. Ko au te pōtiki o tōku whānau me te waha nui, engari, he kai kōrero ahau. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. So this, for me, is an absolute gift. I struggled for most of my life with chronic imposter syndrome. And when I learnt my whakapapa, I understood. I know it's a funny word. When I learnt this, I learnt that this is actually my identity. And when I started to embrace it and share it, something changed in a room as a speaker. Did you hear how the energy changed when I started to share it? Did you feel it? I can see some nodding heads. Wonderful. And even though you don't understand what I've just said, something flows through me when I share that story. It's my origin story. It defines why I'm standing on this spot, what brought me here to be in this place right now. It's something called wairua. It's the spirit that flows through us when we speak and when we recite this story. It's our lineage. It is relational networking from my ancestors to you. That's why it's so important. So today, I want you to consider, what is your origin story? Where have you come from? How does it support the work that you do now? And how will that boost your credibility, or as we call it in New Zealand, your mana, your prestige, to give you the power to change people's lives through the work that you do? Are you ready to embrace your mana today? Only a couple of you. Let's try that again. Are you ready to embrace your mana today? Yes! Much better. But here's the thing, you see. As a speaker, I was taught from a very young age that your state determines your experience. So when you're going into your BNI meetings, or when you're getting up to do your 1-minute presentations, or if you're in India, where are my friends from India here today? Anybody from India? I know you have big chapters there. I know you have very big chapters. Some of you only get 15 seconds. I wouldn't cope because I can literally speak for hours. But it's about creating impact when you share yourself. It's about that wairua that comes through you, that spirit that comes through you, that allows you not to be speaking at people, but to create co-presence. So that today when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking at you. We are creating this presentation together. Does that sound like it's going to be fun? Yes, let's jump in there. All right, so whakapapa, as I mentioned, is our network of connections in Te Ao Māori. So you already heard what it means. It's about genealogy. It's about your descent. It also gives you the support and the foundation of your identity. So do the research. Go back through your history. Find out why you are here, because you are the best, most empowered vision of what your ancestors hoped for. So when you think about that, are you living up to your ancestors' expectations and making the most of every moment? I really hope you are. In my speech, you also heard ko Morris, rawa ko Helena, oku mātua. Those are my parents. My parents were also professional speakers and educators, and I started training to do this work when I was 8 years of age. I have a degree in theatre and film. I have a postgraduate diploma in film and television production. I've been in a few major feature films. You might know one called Avatar. I don't know if you know that film. Yes, I've been in another one called The Water Horse. What do we say? Kia ora. Welcome. I've been in a couple of New Zealand feature films as well. I'm also a voice artist. So are there any gamers in the room? Anybody like gaming? Just you, only you. Have you ever played a game called Far Cry 3 from Xbox? Well, you should, because I played 11 of the voices in that game. I know. I've also worked as a magician, because of course I have. Check out my personality. I've owned a performing arts school, and I have also worked in digital marketing, because that's what you do when you're an actor. And I've also worked in retail, because I love sales. And most importantly, one of my most favourite jobs was working as, wait for it, a TV shopping presenter. I know, it is as cool as you think, and yes, we get to keep some of the products too. So today I'm going to talk to you through the common thread that brought all of those roles together and why you should embrace some of the ideas that I'm going to share today. At the core of it, everything that we do about creating connections, the best, most impactful way to do it is through telling stories. So I'm going to give you some examples. First of all, if you aren't embracing the power of telling stories in your BNI meetings and your one-to-ones, you are missing out. Stories are the best way to build your network, and your network should be the foundation of your business. Otherwise, why are you at a networking conference? But that's another question. And I want to share with you how it's worked for me and enabled me, little old me from little old New Zealand, to reach more than 200 million people worldwide. I'm just going to say that again because I think that deserves an ooh and an ah. So that's helped me, little old me from little old New Zealand, reach more than 200 million people worldwide. Stop it. Oh, thank you. And it was all powered by my network, and I'm super grateful for that. Now, one of the coolest things that's happened to me was learning data, because I am super geeky. When it comes to networking, this study from Nielsen shows that 92% of consumers trust the referrals from people they know. And what's so interesting is often those referrals aren't one-to-one. It's not me saying, hello, sir, what's your name, sir? Darren. Hi, Darren? Darren, lovely to meet you. Darren, I'm really great as a speaker. You should book me. We don't do those types of referrals. It's a bit confrontational. It's the type of referrals when people you don't know are talking to other people you don't know, telling them how great you are. And I'm going to give you some techniques on how to do that today. Where this presentation started was actually in my own BNI chapter. I like to talk a lot, as you can tell. And so earlier this year, our president said, Monique, would you be interested in being our education coordinator? And I said, try and stop me. Oh my goodness. And one of the sessions that I put together, I looked through all the resources and I took out the bits that I really loved. But I created a presentation called Your Network is Your Net Worth. And like I said, I've had a digital agency. I'm super geeky. I love data because you can't argue with data. And so what I did this one session was I went through all of my chapter members. And at that time, we had 25 chapter members. I went through all of their profiles on LinkedIn. And I looked at everybody, and you can see here over in the far column, JC Hazuria in the middle column there. She has 7,667 followers and 500 plus connections. I then went over to Clint Griffin, bottom left-hand corner from Refinery. He has over 3,000 connections, followers, and over 500 connections. So I went through every member of our chapter. Tapere Hewitt, who's a mortgage broker up the top, 500 plus connections. Most of our chapter had at least 500 plus connections. And when I added them all together, I learned something staggering. Collectively, we had over 31,000 connections in LinkedIn alone. And that was the moment when my chapter realized we're not there to sell to each other. We're there to build relationships, to tell stories, to build visibility, credibility, and trust, because that's what builds business. And everything started to change in our chapter. The cohesion improved. Everybody started actually making more time for one-to-ones. And the impact of those one-to-ones resulted in incredible opportunities in business. And I'm going to share some of those at the end of this presentation. What I learned and realized from that one education piece was that it all comes back to the know, like, and trust factor. You get to know somebody in your chapter and you think they're pretty cool, and they become more confident as they start to speak. And then when you book your one-to-one, you get to like them and you think, oh, they're great, they've got 2 kids. I know why they do what they do. But trust happens when that person that you've made that time for is starting to recommend you. And when that recommendation turns into money, you know you've nailed it. And if you're not at that stage yet, start by focusing on how you show up. Because your state, as I said, determines your experience. When we say givers gain, it's not just about referrals. It's about the energy, the wairua, the spirit that we bring into the room every time we show up. So today, I wanted to focus on these key principles, visibility, credibility, and share some tips and techniques on how I've been able to reach over 200 million people. Well done. And also how this leads to profitability, because if we don't have some profit, as we heard this morning, we don't really have a business. We know it's about money, but most importantly, it's about making relationships and keeping your customers coming back time and time again. So, but first, it's story time. You've heard a little bit about me, but I want to hear a little bit about you. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to do a power one-to-one with the person next to you that you don't know. I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I want you to find out the following thing. We want the like factor, which is, what do you do? Oh, kia ora, we forgot. I also want you to find out, hang on. Shh, 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 shh. Easy, tiger. Look at you all. Hang on. Shh, 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 shh. They're so eager.
Guys, if you can hear me, say
Shh. Okay, thank you. I'm giving you your storytelling framework. Or as we say in TV shopping, but wait, there's more. What I want you to find out is, if you don't know the person next to you, which hopefully you don't, I want you to find out who they are, where they're from, and what they do. The next thing I want you to find out is, why do they do what they do? And I want you, if you're sharing this story, to either share something really funny that happened to you in your work, or share something heartwarming that creates a connection. Now you can go. Go, you've got 1 minute. I think we might go down. Might go down? Am I cool to go down? right, ladies and gentlemen, you've got 10 seconds left. 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, shh. We are back in the room. I sound like a hypnotherapist, don't I? All right. Hey, that was awesome. I know you can't claim that in the app as a one-to-one, but it was valuable. Now, what I want to find out, what I want to find out is who learnt something really hilarious about the person they were chatting to. Did anybody find any funny stories at all? Was there anything? Oh, come on, I know you're not sure. Oh, we've got one here. All right, come on, we're bringing you the microphone. If you'd like to introduce yourself and then talk about the person you were speaking to. Please welcome our first guest to the room. Give her a big round of applause. Yeah, it's on.
I'm Mia, and I live here in Canyoning. I met Candy here, and funny story, she was tours and travel. And what got her into it was she was traveling, and she got connecting flights, went to one airport, and she thought her connecting flight was to that same airport, but it was actually somewhere else. So she had to dart over to there. So now she makes travel easy for people, especially flying from different countries, which, everybody here is like, it's really cool.
Beautiful. Give them both a big round of applause. And as a thank you, because we all know that we get a bit of a hit of dopamine when we eat chocolate, I'm going to give you both some New Zealand chocolate with New Zealand hokey pokey in it. Here you go, one for each of you. Give them a big round of applause. Now, there's a real key to what I'm talking about with storytelling, and I already used the word dopamine. And are you familiar with the term dopamine? Awesome. So it's one of those neurotransmitter chemicals that allow us to feel. If you are ADHD like I clearly am, you are looking for it all the time. I'm always dopamining. And I can use it. I know it's a great term, right? You can use it to actually activate audiences. So I always wear intentionally as a speaker something really bright to activate your feelings. Now, when we laugh at something, that's also releasing endorphins. So this is really important to know. And we're going to go into the third feeling right now. Let's talk about who's found a story that made you go, oh, a heartwarming story. Down the back, Harmony. Run, run, run. Go, go, go. I love you. I'll give you some chocolate. Oh, we're going to have to turn the camera this way, Pete. Here we go, here we go. Hello.
Alicia from Poland, and she's an executive director. But 2 weeks right after she bought her franchise as an executive director, the pandemic came.
Oh.
But at least we have the online, thing going on so that she didn't lose the business.
Isn't that an amazing story? Give them both a round of applause. Here you go. A little dopamine hit for the both of you. Congratulations. A little bit of New Zealand chocolate. So why are these things important? And I'll tell you why. I'm not going to hold you in suspense. It's not a quiz and I'm not your mother. So let me tell you why these things are so important. When we tell stories, those stories activate those neurotransmitters in the brain that allow us to feel the story. And when we feel, it becomes real. And in fact, one study by Inc.com showed that when you tell a story, the memory of that story is retained 70% better than information alone. So how are you embracing stories in your one-to-ones, in your chapter meetings? How are you doing it? And if you're not sure, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and examples. Are you excited? Yes. Beautiful. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to ask you again, and then I want you to go, kia ora. Oh, kia ora. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Are you excited? Kia ora. Oh, kei te pai, kei te pai. So we know stories are really important. They are the gateway for connection. Māori people are prolific storytellers. We educate through stories. In fact, every culture around the world is a storytelling culture. And when we activate it, that's how we grow our networks. And there's 2 different ways that we can do it, which I'm going to talk through. First of all, don't need that slide now. I did my own work. Here we go. So my question to you, first of all, before we dive into using stories to build connection, my question to you, and we've heard a little bit of this today, how do you want to be seen, perceived, and remembered? Because you can talk about anything and you can tell any story, but when we are intentional about the stories that we tell, and we tell those stories that activate happiness, like we can hear next door, when we use those stories that activate empathy, which we heard down the back, suddenly we are creating connections that are so powerful, we are creating neural pathways in people's brains so that when a brain goes to make a buying decision, it will go down the pathway that's deepest, that's easier to get down. And if your solution is at the end of that pathway, you are most likely to get a sale. How do I know this? Because this is exactly what I did in television shopping. So, we're going to talk about visibility first. Visibility is the gateway for opportunity. So my question to you is, when you are going into your meetings, when you're going into a client meeting, how are you showing up? Unfortunately, I see a lot of people coming into our BNI meetings because it's early, and none of us are morning people, really. They're coming in like this. How do you think that makes the rest of the room feel? Yeah, stink, you're absolutely right. There is science that shows your physiology affects your neurology and vice versa. So even if you are waking up like this, when you are going into your BNI meeting, you've heard the term fake it till you make it. Not only do people see the confidence in you, you start to see the confidence in yourself. You start to write new stories of belief that enable you to show up with the most confidence. And do you think somebody wants to work with somebody who looks like this? No. That's exactly right. But visibility in our meetings is important, of course, through our presentations each week. If you haven't been on the leadership team, I would absolutely encourage you to do it. It's been the best thing for my business. But what happens when somebody knows you and they like you and they decide to refer you to someone else? What do you think that person is going to do? Thank you very much, Pete. That was not a plant, by the way. Thank you, Pete, my fellow chapter member and also my life partner, so he's heard this content. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They're going to Google you. So my question to you now is, how are you showing up online to support your in real life networking efforts? How many of you are using video to promote yourself? And I'm not talking about your business, but to promote yourself. Oh, my darlings. If you aren't being the face of your business, you are missing out on the biggest and best marketing opportunity of all time. Why? Well, first of all, that person was referring you, not the business. People buy from people. That's why we're here. We want to connect in real life. And the great thing about video is it's that tool that somebody else in your chapter can use to promote you. So from today onwards, because you've been in this room, here's a secret we're going to share that we're not going to tell anybody else because they didn't book in to come. From today onwards, I want you to start thinking of yourself as a personal brand. I want you to start thinking about which stories am I going to intentionally share to create connections, to make people feel. And on that note, if you are interested in sales, when we talk about the top of the sales funnel, if you know what the sales funnel is, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, book a one-to-one with me. I'm happy to chat about it. The most important content to be sharing out there in the global stratosphere online, which is pretty noisy and loud, is actually what you do and why you do it. And why is that important? Because as Dr. Seuss, the great author, said, there's no one in this world who is youer than you. Your story is your competitive advantage. So homework for you all, taking notes please people, thank you. Homework for you all is to do at least your what I do and why I do it as a personal video story. And you need to push it out there on social media, be brave. And then you need to put it on your website as well. So, I want to tell you how it worked for me. This photo was from me back in 2017. I had been working with a TV shopping channel and I'd been promoting all sorts of products, and an organisation that I had done some networking with, they have a New Zealand skincare brand called Kathy Organic Skincare. They said to me, Monique, we love you, we want to take you to India. And I said, oh, fabulous, what would you like me to do? And they just went, I'm not sure. That was a hard brief to deal with. When I got there, however, something extraordinary happened. The first event, I'd literally just walked off the plane. The first event I walked into, people came up to me and said, "Hello, Monique, it's lovely to meet you. Oh gosh, what an honour to have you here. We're delighted to see you. How is your family?" I didn't know what was going on. And the second event I went to, which is this one that you can see there, at the end of me getting up and speaking in front of about the same size crowd in India, the organisers then put all these products on a table for me and then said, "Okay, Monique, go." And I thought, what do you want me to do? And I was mobbed by this room full of these amazing people all coming up to me going, "Monique, what does this product do? Monique, what does this product do?" And I had to go, "Well, this one was royal jelly used by Princess Diana when she was pregnant. And this one over here, well, this is very good for your knees if you've got, creaky knees and things like that." I had to find all these stories. And what was amazing is we sold out of probably 200 or 300 pieces of New Zealand products in about 15 minutes. I know, right? Let's do that again. In 15 minutes. Oh, stop it. And what had happened is I had forgotten the power of video. You see, by then, fellow chapter member and life partner, Peter's a social broadcaster and a videographer, and we specialised in doing product demonstration videos, just like TV shopping, and had put them all out there on the internet. I'd forgotten that at the time we went to India, YouTube was the biggest search engine when it came to making buying decisions. So people already knew who I was, they liked me, they trusted me, and they threw their money at me. Seriously, at least 80% of the sale was done before I got to India. And I want that to happen for you. So I want you to focus on your in real life networking, build those relationships, be visible so that your chapter members share those videos that I've set for you as homework. And then start magnifying your story everywhere because it works. Online plus offline, visibility equals success. Now, one of the members of our chapter has done it really well. This is Cam, and Cam is a super introverted human. He is amazing. He is a specialist, he's an electrician, and he puts solar power into people's homes. Now, solar power is very young in New Zealand, and it's still, a lot of the early adopters are just embracing it, but we are very slow. We're a few years behind the rest of the world. But what he's done is he's taken the time to share educational content about solar. So when Sarah McMurray, the money coach in our chapter, said, "Hey, I had a friend who was asking about solar. Do you have a video I can send that person on that?" He said, "Yeah, funnily enough, I do." And that one video has led to a $50,000 sale for him. I know, right? So to maximize on your networking efforts, I want you to make yourself stalkable, be brave, and create content that's helpful and shareable. But I know there's a real challenge with that. And it's imposter syndrome. How many of you, actually don't even tell me, I'll look away. How many of you feel nervous about going on camera? Yeah, no, I don't want to look at you. I'm not looking at you. Look, at the end of the day, the one thing I teach my clients when I'm coaching them as to go on camera or for public speaking is stop thinking about you. You are amazing and fabulous, but when it comes to going on camera, it's not about you. It's about the people that you serve. It's about the way that you can help. And people are looking for one of two things. Aside from entertaining funny cat videos online, they are looking for hope or they are looking for help. And if you can provide that, share that with your chapter members. They will do the sharing for you. And that's when the magic really starts to happen in your business. And I wanted to share this tip with you to raise your visibility immediately. One of the things that I did was I went into LinkedIn, because this is a platform I play on a lot to promote myself in the B2B space. Go to your profile, click the search bar at the top, and you'll see the funny dots on the top right-hand corner. Click those dots and it will take you through to your QR code for LinkedIn. And the one thing I do, because I keep forgetting my business cards, is I have that as my screensaver on my phone, so that when somebody says, "How can I connect with you?" Here you go. Phone is right in front of them. So this has been a fantastic tip, and that enabled me to grow my network from about 200 or 300 people to over 3,000 in about 3 months. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? Oh, let's get a bit more of a whoa there. Whoa. Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about credibility. How does this all work? Credibility is how your network validates your experience. So when you're in that place where you've got your chapter members starting to share your content, you are winning. Now, what type of content should you have when you're in that credibility stage? Customer testimonials, case studies, and your frequently asked questions. This is the most important type of content to really demonstrate your expertise. And here's a bonus tip. If something is happening in the world that affects your industry, if you want to be seen as a thought leader, go live on one of the platforms or create a video content piece with your thoughts, your expertise, and your opinion around that issue. And right now, with the changes in politics as an example, that doesn't just affect America, that affects the entire world and every industry. So think about how you can frame that up as an important story, because it will lift your viral ability through the roof if you use the right hashtags, like American election as an example. But also it will show that you have your ear to the ground, that you know what's going on in your industry and around the world. So you're with me? Yeah. Excellent. Perfect. I wanted to tell you a bit of a funny story that actually led me to change my level of credibility in my chapter. Would you like to hear a funny story? Okay, all right, so I'm going to tell you about the truth about TV shopping. So here's the thing, right? I got recommended through my network to go and see somebody in the TV shopping channel in New Zealand called Yes Shop, and we were actually on TV in New Zealand and Australia. And so when I got recommended, it was actually to take over the social media for the channel, because social media is about storytelling too, and I thought this is great. When I was there, they loved that I was a great talker and that I love sales. And the producer looked at me and said, "Do you want to do a camera test?" And I went, because this is such a Kiwi thing. And I just went, "Oh, yeah." Like, you know, we're so different. So 2 weeks later, or a week later, I did a camera test, and the week after that, I got my dream job of working as a TV shopping presenter. And why did I love it? Like I said, storytelling, it's all about sales. And also, I'm really addicted to shopping, so it worked out really well. So in this instance, something really remarkable happened. I was very new to the channel, and I got given a product which I thought was the most useless product in the entire world. I'm not even kidding. It's this. It's called the Magic Tacker. Yeah, it looks like a snail, and it's metal, and it's got a little bit of a kind of a hammer thing. It's a bit like a staple gun, and you could put inside it all these tacks. And I thought, wow, this is the bottom of my career. Seriously, I'm not sure about this. But when I took it home, because we had to live with the products for at least 2 to 4 weeks, I took it home and I thought, cool, push the button, put a tack in the wall. Like, it's not a game changer. However, when I learned that every tack could actually hold 10 kilos in weight, suddenly I started to think about the possibilities. And for the first time, I put up one of those floating bookshelves. You know those bookshelves? Using the Magic Tacker. And I thought, this is really great. And then I was able to put up a hook in the bathroom. And then suddenly, the wet towels were no longer wet towels on the floor, you know, that the kids leave around? Yeah, they were up on the hook. And I started to think of every situation and story I could tell, including, you know, you can get that beautiful family artwork off the floor and up on the wall so you can enjoy those memories for years to come. Because that's what we say in TV shopping. And I even said, you know, if you don't like your neighbour, you can put 10 hooks up on the wall and hang your neighbour up there. You can do anything you like. So I came up with every story. And then on the day, I walked into the studio. It was full of lighting. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to nail this, pardon the pun. I'm going to nail this, it's going to be fantastic. And I went to do my demonstration and I grabbed the Magic Tacker. I talked about the benefits, not the features, the benefits, how it's going to make you feel. And then I decided this is the moment. I put the Magic Tacker up on the wall to demonstrate, forgetting that it was a false wall? And I lifted my arm thinking I was some sort of athlete, looking great on TV. It's all about the angles, you see. I lifted my arm and I smashed that tack into the wall. And as I smashed that tack into the wall, forgetting it was a false wall, the wall vibrated. And all of the artwork that was mounted onto the wall came crashing down, you know, in slow motion like in a film. It happens in real life too. And it slowly landed on the ground in this moment of chaos and carnage, and I thought it was the end of my career. And we were live on television across New Zealand and Australia. Yeah, can I get a bigger oh wow? Oh wow, yeah I know, feeling it, feeling the empathy. And in that moment, 3 things happened. First of all, my producer director in my ear went, "Oh, dear God," which is not helpful, but that's what happened. The second thing that happened is everybody in the studio, there were 12 crew members, they all suddenly went and sucked all of the air out of the room. And then the final thing that happened was this. And this is what I teach my clients. And this is what changed how I was perceived in my BNI chapter. I stood there, held my space. I looked down the barrel of the lens and knew I had to back myself because nobody else could do this for me. I looked down the barrel of the lens and I said, and this is what happens when you don't use the magic tacker. Yeah, thank you. And so what happened? After that, my producer director in my ear just went, "Oh, thank God." Everybody exhaled in the room. They went, "Oh." And calm was restored to the studio. And the great thing is we sold a lot of magic tackers. So when I told that story to my BNI chapter, that changed the way I was perceived. You see, I came into BNI going, I'm just a lady who likes to talk a lot. Yes, I'm a keynote speaker and an MC, but we've got people with real jobs in this chapter. They do real things. They're lawyers. They're mortgage brokers. They do really cool things. I'm just a lady who talks fast and loud. But when I shared that, people started to understand that everything that I do as a speaker is about confidence, about empowering people to find their voice and tell their story. Because you won't remember everything I've said today, but you'll always remember the magic tacker. So, how does all of this lead to profitability? That's a great question because we can share a lot of content out there, but how is it going to get us leads? So, the first thing I need to tell you is that social media will not get you sales. It is part of the solution because we have to think about visibility, credibility, and the profitability happens when you turn up in India like I did and people were throwing down their money. It's part of the customer journey. And when you do that, when you share your story out there, it's content that is out there that can be reshared and is selling for you 24/7. So, you know you've got some homework to do if you're not already embracing it. When your network helps you become more visible and credible, referrals and opportunities come your way. I know it's not a quantum physics law, but I live, eat, sleep, and breathe this principle. Yeah, absolutely screenshot it. And then ask yourself, after you've screenshot it and you go home for this conference and you go, the question you need to ask yourself is, what am I going to do about that? What am I going to do about that? And like I said, it is important because you cannot replace people. We are looking, thank you so much for waving at me, Dan, I appreciate that. Oh, you're amazing. People will always buy from people. I love AI, I love technology, I use it all the time. But at the core of it, when I turn up to see a client, they are still buying from me. All of that other content is part of my sales process. So from today on, I want you to really consider, are you maximizing how you show up in real life in your meetings, and are you maximizing on the power of digital? Because when you bring them both together, they will amplify, magnify, and lift your presence so that you can turn up to India like I did, and people will throw their money at you. Well, that's my hope for you anyway, or any country you go into. Now, if you're not sure where to get started, I've created a resource. You see, this presentation was originally put together for the New Zealand Institute of Quantity Surveyors. Now, I didn't even know what a quantity surveyor was, but one of my chapter members, Nick Clements, who's on the board of the Institute of Quantity Surveyors, he said to me, hey Monique, and Pete, because Pete's my broadcast partner as well, would you guys like to come and talk about how storytelling can work for business? Because we've got a lot of quantity surveyors who are great at what they do, and they're the world's best kept secrets. So I created this guide as a way for you to get started, and it's how to begin using storytelling to support your sales process. So absolutely go to that website and download a copy, and through that you'll get my details as well. Let's book a one-to-one. The other thing too is if you do want to connect with me, here's my Linktree. And if you're not using Linktree in your bio, you're missing out again. Linktree enables me to have a whole bunch of different sites that I own that I can send people to. One QR code is almost like a landing page that takes you to a portal that has all your information. So either scan it and go and see how I've set it up and set it up for yourself, or connect. Finally, as we heard this morning, here's some members of my beautiful chapter. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at them, beautiful. As we heard this morning from our speaker, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I love that quote from Maya Angelou. The only thing that was missing, which is a Monique Bradley-ism, is that, and stories are the conduits to make that happen. So in closing, there's no screen. I'm going to leave it there. In closing, as I said at the very beginning, ko Monique Bradley tōku ingoa, he kai kōrero aho. I am a storyteller, and so are you, because you found that out today. So from today on, I empower you. No, I implore you to get out there and start telling the world your story, because your story matters. Your story can change lives. And I want you to be intentional with your storytelling. And as I always like to say, make your message meaningful. Engari, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora! Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. How much did you guys love that presentation?
Oh. Too kind.
I feel like I learned so much in the last two presentations. We really appreciate you
Thank
joining
you.
us on stage. So, for today, your breakout session